Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Thor issue 11, and this was a pretty great setup to get into War of the Realms. We see that Thor is dreading this war coming and trying to do everything he can to try and get Mjolnir back, and we see that Lady Freya is narrating a good portion of this issue with her internal thoughts, and talking about how Vanaheim has fallen, and that most of the realms have fallen, and that Midgard's going to be next, and Thor is just throwing himself continuously into the sun to try and get to Mjolnir, because it was like one of his greatest friends, and I like that characterization with Thor and the hammer, because yes, it is a thing of his worth, but also it's a friend. It's been through battles with him. It's helped him achieve great feats and save his friends and do all these great things, and losing it like that, and even though it was in service of Jane taking out the man god, it's just he thinks that he needs his friend to help him get through this battle, that he's not going to be strong enough. And of course, Freya goes up to the sun, and he's been like throwing himself and melting hammers in there, and saying like, "No, you don't need the hammer." And she talks about how she knows that he's frightened and all that. And she's like, "Listen, you conquered the thunder. You used to be afraid of it, but you conquered it. Like, listen, I understand that, but I don't have Mjolnir. We don't have the Bifrost. We don't have an Allfather worth a damn." And I have to wait for Malkith to get here, and I don't know if I'll be enough for that. And of course, she gets a hammer of her own, and they fly down to Earth, and because of Thor's moods, the weather's been going out of whack, and they go to Hawaii to like help some people out. And she's talking about, we see that the greatest thing about Thor is his heart. And I'm like, yes, that is one of the greatest things about Thor. Because usually you see when he's younger, he cared more about battle and everything than actually helping other people, and that kind of got him to being worthy and using the hammer and understanding what it means to use it and help people and all that. We see him using his hammers to part this tsunami and everything and bring the way to safety, and I'm like, yeah, Thor's heart is a big part of it. It's a big reason of why I like him, because even though you see him bombastically going into battle and like going up against these impossible odds, he's not doing it really for the fame or the glory or anything. He's doing it to protect those that he loves. And he loves the people of Midgard and the people of Asgard and of all the 10 realms, and he wants to help them. And seeing him do that is like, yeah, come on. It's great. And we see some other portions. We see that Lady Freya saw this years ago when Thor actually brought her to Midgard to see Erica the Red's grave, and how he was talking about, yeah, you told me to stop focusing on being worthy and to find love, and just let us say that I found it. And it was a nice touching moment between them. Then we jumped up into the future, and we see that the granddaughters are taking care of King Thor, and everything's like, hey, he'll still be alive and everything. He'll outlast the stars. Like, well, most of them are dying. And he fought the most powerful Doctor Doom ever and still won. And he's like talking in his sleep about the War of the Realms. And I'm like, oh, that's ancient history. We then flash back to what's going on Earth. And we see that Volstagg is being called to it as well. And he's being wrestled to make sure that he's not harming himself. Jane has to sedate him and everything. And she's like, yeah, I understand that it's coming, and your hammer's calling you. And then Jane goes to her appointment, and she finds out that she's cancer-free. It's like, that's a pretty good time for that to happen, because the war's coming, and we're going to need her to do some things. We're going to need everybody. We're going to need Beta Ray Bill. We're going to need everybody around. And we hear a crack of thunder, and it's like, ooh, okay, we'll have to see what that means. We also shift over, and we see that Loki is dealing with stuff as well. He's got this little tiny room. He's like, if I was as big and giant as my father, I'd be able to do this, end this war already. And he's lamenting the fact of how he tried to stop the war his way, but this is the kind of thanks that he gets for trying to do this. We also see the Infinity Gauntlets in Loki's little room as he's talking to this picture of Lady Freya. And we see that Dark Elves are coming in to assassinate him, so we'll have to see how that goes. We then move over and we see that Malekith is readying his invasion force, talking about how war is their natural state between everybody, and we can become our true murderous selves, and gets ready to march to Midgard. We see the Black Bifrost ready to go. We see all his forces ready, and they just start going, and it's like, ooh, crap. And we end off the issue with Thor being like, listen, I might not have Mjolnir, and I might give up my life, but Midgard will survive for this. And he just wishes that he had his friend, and he flies off, and we see a burnt branch coming out of the sun. So I'm thinking that we'll have to see what happens with Mjolnir and what'll go on, but I think Thor is going to do a pretty... He's not going to die, because we have Old King Thor and everything, but he's probably going to have to make a big sacrifice or whatnot to make sure that this war ends in a way that's not destructive for everyone involved. So this was a nice setup. It was cool for Lady Freya to kind of examine Thor and show us why he's ready for this war, even though he thinks he isn't. And I like seeing their relationship like that. Also seeing Loki's kind of relationship reflected in all these other characters gearing up for the war as well. So I'm really excited to see that popping off next month, and can't wait to see what the next Thor issue's got in store for us. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.